road is the M1, which is officially the longest and most boring road in all of the universe. This is where you find ancient Roman poops.
Hello, and welcome to the Shed, and to the very first Even Stars Parade au Pump Clips, where we take a look at what has been in the pubs over the last week. Now, as you can see, not technically in the shed, but I do feel that shed is more a state of mind than an actual place. I mean, don't we all have a bit of shedness, right? Of course. And even though this is the first episode of the Parade au Pump Clips, it's actually going to be a double bill because we were in Newcastle over the weekend, and there's like a dozen beers to get through. So if I'd rambled on over 12 beers, you just get bored, right? So let's get started, shall we? First up, we have Mahler from Ringwood. They're a Hampshire brewery, which many of you in the UK will have heard of. They're not so much craft as vaguely independent. They're a big brewer, and they belong to a sort of a big conglomerate brewer. But they still make decent beer. Mahler was bitter with some fennel and citrus. We had this at our hotel on the way up to Newcastle, which is why it's not the most exotic choice. I wouldn't get to Newcastle and go, yes, let's have a Ringwood. But after 5 hours on the road in terrible traffic, just about anything would do. And this wasn't a bad beer. The wild boar you see there is sort of typical of the Ringwood brand, and you see it on many of their pump clips and also their bottles. So next up is the first Newcastle beer. So the first beer I had when we got to Newcastle from the Anarchy Brew Company. They are a northern brewer. It was called Sublime Chaos. And it was a black creamy stout, which is not what I usually go for. I'm not a big stout fan. But when we go away for weekends around the UK and other places, I like to try different styles of beer that I don't usually try when I'm at home. So kind of pushing the envelope here with a stout. It was very coffee and fruity. There's no licorice in it at all, which you do find in some stouts, licorice, and you all know how I feel about licorice. Quite strong at 7%. This was our second day on the road, so we stayed overnight on the way up to Newcastle, and then that was about halfway, and then we had another 3 hours on the road the next day. So we were there in the late afternoon, and we were just about ready for a beer. And just around the corner, as luck would have it, from the hotel was a place called the Head of Steam. There are a few of these around the town, and I think they might be vaguely connected with Cameron's. I'm not sure. They do sell many Cameron's beers in them. But there were lots of beers on pump and tap. It was kind of a cool yet cozy environment, very steampunk, which was a popular aesthetic in Newcastle at many of the bars that we were in. Right. Next up, we've got an experimental beer from Cameron's called Sleeping Brewty. I do like the beer pun. I believe it was made using tea to flavor it, which is interesting, but not so crazy. I posted a link on Twitter today about crazy things people put in beer, like goat brains and yeast from beard. So tea, that's pretty mainstream. And also, tea is a bitter plant with essential oils, which is kind of what hops are as well. So, not so crazy, but this was a beautifully fragrant beer with citrus and chamomile and other bitter greenness. I really liked it. Really liked that one. Next up, we've got 2 beers from Newcastle's own Wylam Brewery, which we actually went to visit. It's sort of in the north end of town, in a park, in a pavilion type building. It was kind of behind the university up there. So the first one I had was called Red Kite. It was a dark, cloudy, definitely a red beer. It was malty, but I thought it was a bit meh, right? A bit meh, right? Meh, beer, meh. Savory, kind of musty. not really my bag. It didn't blow me away. I know a lot of people who like sort of more mild beers who would really like it, but not quite my thing. Next up is the now I think famous. I've seen several shots of it on Twitter and Instagram of the Jakehead IPA. This extremely so cloudy you could like eat it with a spoon IPA, and you could get it on pump or tap at the brewery, which was interesting. I tried it first of all on pump, and it's sort of this really opaque orange, heavy, resinous, dank, full gamut of citrus from lime to grapefruit, very much in that USA ultra hopped IPA style. I really enjoyed it. But it's one of those beers you really have to pay attention to rather than just kind of quaff, which is fine. I later had it on tap at another place, which, if you have it on tap, it's colder, it's a bit fizzier. It doesn't come out with like quite such that strong IPA dankness, which I quite preferred that. I preferred it on tap rather than pump. But tasty beer, very tasty beer. And here we've got another beer from Cameron's called Road Crew, and we also had this at the Head of Steam around the corner. This is a blonde beer, which I wasn't expecting. Although I think it actually does say blonde on the pump clip, I'm not sure. There was some interesting kind of sweet herbals in there, with also a nice, really good bitter bite. Bit of cardamom, a bit of chamomile, like the Sleeping Brew tea. It was lightly resinous. I thought it was a bit strange because for such a late, effervescent type beer, it's like the Motley Crew. It's not a tough, like raucous, rock and roll beer at all. I quite liked it. It's very nice. But I do like rock and roll, so maybe that's why. And we're going to finish up this first parade of pump clips with Seraphim from Sonnet 43 Brewhouse. I've had, by the way, all of these beers were northern beers. They're from Northumberland or Hartlepool way, all sort of in the Newcastle northern area. I think there's one from Yorkshire in there. Sonnet 43 Brewhouse, also Northern Brewery. I've had a couple of their beers down south, but you don't see them very often down here, so this was really nice. I had a couple of theirs over the weekend. This is a very blonde beer, very boozy gin and tonic flavors, which I quite like, because I quite like a gin and tonic. It's that sort of astringent, juniper, piney, rosemary lightness. And again, we had this one at the Head of Steam with some really good sort of bar tapas foods. There's a really good atmosphere in there. So that's all for now for the Parade of Pump Clips. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. But also, tell us in the comments what you've been drinking at your local. I'd like to know. So until next time, bye.